Hi everyone, and we're back with more Sword of Convaleria. With the recent release of Hasna, I figured I'd make a build video for Homa as well. She's the last character that was shown in the Sandmaid Scales update. She's also a top tier, versatile support character that just has so much value for your team. So in this video, I'm going to review Homa's skill kit, as well as her skill build and potential skill setups. Her trait skill is called Best Partner. This allows Homa to ignore block, so she completely ignores the damage reduction that a character would get from block. She also gets a physical attack increase of 5% at base level, and it goes up to 20% when she's 5-star. For the next part of her trait skill, after Homa or her ally Balu, which is the bird that she has with her, performs a single target attack, Balu will be called to attack again, dealing 20% of Homa's physical attack as physical damage. She also gets a movement bonus of 1 tile when she's healthy, so when her HP is over 70%. But she gets this at 3 stars, so she won't have this originally. So she has a lot of great things going on in her trait skill. And being able to ignore block is huge, just because you can break through those tanky units. The extra damage you get out of the bird as well, because of this trait skill, is also amazing. At 5 stars, it goes up to dealing 40% of Homa's physical attack as physical damage. You also get the additional effect of stealing 2 random buffs and 1 energy for Homa. She also starts with a skill called Knockback Shot. This is a physical attack where you select an enemy in a cross-shaped range and deals 135% damage and knocks them back 2 squares. This is a good skill to have in her kit just for those pesky stages where you have to just hit the enemies off the side because you can't really defeat them any other way. So it gives you an option to switch this in just for those particular situations. But she does have better skill options on her skill tree. So for level 1 of her skill tree, both of these skills are incredibly valuable to have. So first we have Circling Aid. It's also referred to as Hovering Support. This is a support skill that activates instantly, so the character can continue their action after using this. So with this skill, Homa makes Balu stay on the target, granting them increased movement 2 and jump. So they get to move an additional 2 tiles, and it triples the character's jump. Both will also gain increased attack 2, which increases their physical and magical attack by 20%. In addition, these effects are increased by 1.5 times if Balu is called to attack or heal, and the effects last for 2 turns. This support skill has a lot of benefits. It has a low cost of 1 energy. The only thing is, it does have a 3-turn cooldown, but since the buffs last for 2 turns, you can pretty consistently maintain these buffs, because the downtime for the skill is minimal. Her next skill is Tacit Choice. This is a decision skill, so she gets to select between 2 choices. The first option is called Wings Flutter. This is an attack skill, so with this skill she calls Shaheen to deal 80% damage to a single target and inflicts blind and defense down 3, which lasts for 2 rounds. In addition, she also calls Balu to deal 40% damage to all enemies within 2 tiles of Balu, with a 50% chance to inflict blind for 1 turn. So this option allows you to deal damage and apply debuffs like blind and decreased defense. The other choice is a skill called Cool Breeze, and this skill is for sustain. With this skill, healing received block is dispelled first, and then the target is healed for 70% of the caster's physical attack. In addition, all allies are healed within 2 tiles of Balu for 40% of physical attack, and then 2 debuffs are dispelled. The healing capacity of this skill is amazing because you're getting a single target heal and then you're getting an AoE heal, so it's a lot of healing. So for rank 1, you really want to take both of these options. They both just have so much value. If I had to choose one over the other, I would say Tacit Choice, just because it's giving you a choice to attack or heal. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in battle depending on the situation. But for rank 1, you really want to pick up both of these skills. So this is a great time to use one of your Castalias if you have them. So for rank 3, there's 2 passive skills. The first one is called Shield Break, and when Homa's attacking an enemy with a shield, it increases attack by 30% and ignores 40% of the target's defense. In other words, the enemy has to have a shield in order to get any value out of this. If the enemy doesn't have a shield, this does nothing. The other passive for level 3 is called Harmony, and at the end of the turn, if a basic attack or skill was used, heals all allies within 2 tiles of the character for 20% of physical attack and dispels 1 debuff. I prefer this passive because the activation requirement is very simple. It even activates using just a basic attack, and you're getting a great amount of sustain and debuff removal. I really like that this passively heals because it frees up your turn to use an attack skill or one of her other support skills, instead of having to waste a turn to heal. So for level 3, the recommendation is to pick up Harmony. It just has overall better utility, whereas Shield Break's use is restricted because of the shield requirement. So for level 5, there's 2 reaction skills. The first one's called Rabbit, also referred to as Fleeing Hair, and with this reaction skill, when hit by an active attack, the damage taken is decreased by 8%. After being attacked, the character gains Move 2 for 2 rounds. Move 2 is a buff that increases the distance the character can move by 2 tiles. This reaction skill isn't bad, but the other skill is just better. So her other reaction skill is called Flying Shadow Game. So for this skill, before being attacked by an enemy's melee attack from the back or side, Homa calls Shaheen to inflict blind on the attacker for 1 turn, up to 1 time per round. Blind is a debuff that causes a single target attack to have an 80% chance to miss. The second part of this reaction skill says, after a dodge, Homa performs a strike back dealing 70% physical damage and retreats 2 tiles. Flying Shadow Game is just a better reaction skill compared to the other one. Between having a debuff like Blind, which allows for control and disruption for not just her but her allies as well, and it also allows her to strike back, which means that she'll be contributing damage. So for level 5, it's recommended to take Flying Shadow Game. It's just overall a better skill than Rabbit. So for rank 7, you have a choice between a skill and a passive. First, we have Scattering. This is a physical attack that deals 70% AoE damage to all enemies within a 3x3 area in the target direction, and inflicts movement down 1, lasting for 2 turns. Movement down 1 is a debuff that reduces movement by 1 tile. Her other skill for rank 7 is called Brawl Shooter. This is a passive skill that allows Homa to attack an adjacent enemy when performing basic attacks. If there is an enemy existing in 1 tile around the character, it increases her attack by 15% and crit by 30%. So for rank 7, the recommendation is to take the passive skill. It's very useful when fighting boss enemies or when you're facing a lot of enemies, because it allows her to attack adjacent enemies, as well as gives her a damage boost increase. The Brawl passive will just have more value to you depending on the situation compared to Scattering. Homa just has too many skills in her skill tree that you're going to use, and you wouldn't be wasting a skill slot on Scattering anyway. So for rank 9, we have 2 basic attacks to choose from. First, we have Frost Strike, which is a basic attack that deals 100% physical damage and inflicts move down for 1 turn on healthy targets. So the movement down debuff will only activate if the enemy has 70% or more HP. So a lot of the time, this skill is basically just doing the damage and nothing more. So her other option at level 9 is a basic attack called Flying Blades. This is a single target attack that deals 100% physical damage. With this skill, after attacking, she can move again, with the distance being the remaining movement plus 1. This is just an overall better skill to Frost Strike because there is no restriction. You just have to attack, which obviously if you're using this basic attack, you're attacking, so you get to move again. This gives you an opportunity to reposition her after attacking, so it's recommended to take Fighting Blades over Frost Strike. For rank 11, we have a damage skill and a support skill. Her first skill is called Pierce, and this is a physical single target attack that deals 150% damage. When the target is injured, deals an additional 20% damage. When the target is dying, deals an additional 40% damage. This is a high damage skill, because you are getting a really significant increase, especially if the target is in a dying state. But again, this skill does have restrictions because the enemies have to be in an injured or dying state to get the damage increase. Next we have one of, if not the best support skill Homa has in her skill kit. So this support skill is called Hashiram Carnival. This is her ultimate skill or special skill. So with this skill, Homa grants Disturbance, which provides a dodge buff to the target and to the ally Balu is assisting. Then they each deal 60% physical AoE damage to all enemies within 2 tiles. Additionally, they inflict active and passive blocks on all enemies within the target's range. All effects last for 2 turns, and after casting the skill, Balu stays with the target for 2 turns. This is just an all-in-one skill that provides so many benefits. It's granting your allies a dodge buff, it's applying powerful debuffs like blocking active and passive skills, it's dealing damage. There's just so much to this skill, it's amazing. It goes without saying you have to take this skill at rank 11. This skill is a must-have, and it's going to be a mainstay for your skill slots in her skill kit when you're using her. So with that said, let's talk about skill builds. So for the basic attack, you'll have Fighting Blades. For the reaction skill, you'll have Flying Shadow Game. And for the 3 skill slots, you'll definitely want to have Hashram Carnival in one of the slots, but there are a few different ways you can go about building her. I personally like using Hashram Carnival, Circling Aid, and Tacit Choice. I think that's a great setup for support, healing, and damage. If you want more healing to be applied, you can take Harmony instead of Circling Aid. This is the hyper healing build where you're getting the passive healing and you have the ability to actively heal as well. And you'll still get the benefits of the damage and support with this build. If you want to be able to deal more damage, you can put in Brawl Shooter in one of her skill slots. And in niche cases where you just need to knock the enemies off the side, you can put in Repel Shot. Homa is a fantastic support character with an extremely valuable skill kit. She has powerful debuffs like Blind, Decrease Offense, and Active and Passive Block. She also offers powerful buffs like Increased Movement, Granting Dodge, and increased damage for herself and her allies. She also offers amazing sustain with her healing and dispelling abilities. And on top of all of that, she also contributes damage. It isn't surprising at all that she's a top-tier support character, and is definitely a character that you want to get and build if you get her. Homa is truly an amazing, versatile, and all-in-one support character. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.